Good afternoon, dear colleagues and guests of our session of the Congress. I'm glad to welcome you on the first International Congress Transportation and Development. My name is Stanislav Mushtalov, and I will be the moderator of the session. The topic, who maybe have forgotten, is railway transportation as developer-driver for regions and tourism. Numerous research showed that railways and their opportunities are highly popular among people who would like to open the Russian Federation from the new side and find new corners of our big country. The cross-city communication shows success in transportation of passengers. And of course, we have this romantic mood while going to a new place, drinking tea in a train, just because you'll find something new and you'll get the best emotions. Today we'll talk about the potential and the structure of Russian railways. Our speakers have prepared interesting presentations and also would talk about the topics which are quite essential for those who truly believe into the possibilities of train. I believe that a lot of people are watching us online. And right now, we can start our event and our discussion. I would like to give the floor for the welcoming regards to the Deputy Head of Kuibashevskaya Railway for Interaction with Public Authorities, Denis Modarysov. Please welcome. Distinguished colleagues and dear friends, the participants of the meeting, I would like to warmly welcome you and give my regards for joining us here in Ufa and online in the framework of the International Congress Transport and Construction. I believe that our event will be followed by the productive work and will bring best results within the framework of the region and also our country. Working on the measures on growing of the potential of tourists among Russia as one of the essential points which we are discussing. We are open to the new ideas and the support and new projects could be done in a complex in interaction with the authorities, the authority bodies. You know that Russia has the biggest, the widest system of railroads, which allow us to form different tourist tours and tourist routes to new destinations. We are ready to listen to even risky ideas, and I'm convinced that we could create a new touristic route altogether. Nowadays, railway tourism has the second breath, and trains became not just a way to reach the destination cheaper, but it's also one of the essential parts of your vacation. And the traveler also enjoys this element of the route. We have high standards of service and quality, and we work on it, listening to the feedback and the needs of our clients. We also want to broaden our borders of the regional tourism. We should pay attention to the Republic of Bashkortostan as a place which has great touristic potential, just because we have a lot of nature, wildlife locations, we have a lot of architectural monuments. And on the example, taken as an example, Bashkortostan, you could see that we have such targets as ethnic tourism, gastronomic tourism, and other fields of tourism right now. So, railroads are also supported by the regional authorities and all the companies involved. I think that we need to discuss in a live dialogue here railroad tourism, and also in Bashkortostan and also in that regions where we also have our Kuibashevskaya railway. I hope that you'll enjoy this time and this discussion would be profitable to you. Thank you a lot, Denis. And dear guests, we should note that today our Congress is held in the green, sunny region. We are the Republic of Bashkortostan. We should note that all the events within the framework of the Congress are organized by the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan under support of the Ministry of Transport and also I want to give the floor to the Deputy Minister of Entrepreneurship and Tourism of the Republic, Renat Avsalov. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm so glad to welcome everyone who is participating in this essential event, the International Congress of Construction and Transport. I should note that the platform is quite vivid. Not long ago, we conducted World Skills here, and today, talking about the topic which is of the great importance for us, how railway transport influence on the touristic potential and the development of the region. Let's see, we don't have that much types of transport to move from one place to another. Quite expensive to go by air. We have car transport, social transport, public transport, but we could not reach some of the places. We have only airways. For example, the airport of Magnitogorsk is not far. It's on the territory of Bashkortostan. That's why we have here two aviation hubs. That's all that we could fly over without seeing the beauty of our republic. And if you'd like to see it thoroughly, to learn it thoroughly, and also have a comfortable journey, when you have the right schedule and you're safe, of course, railways and railroads play the most important role. Sometimes it's very necessary when you understand that each tourist has the whole schedule of sightseeing, and to have an exact timing is one of the fundamental issues for railroad transport. The Republic of Bashkortostan is a dynamically changing region. Some people are jealous about the success which we have. Even sometimes when I talk with my colleagues, for example, I talked with Vladimirovna not long ago, about Kazan and signing the new agreement. When you listen to other people, they tell that we have great nature, and if we do not use this potential right now, what does it mean? It means that if tourists come here, he would come anyway, but it should be organized, systematic, and would have a good approach when the transportation company does it with a good quality. And this is one of the essentials. Of course, we tell that tourism sphere for Bashkortostan is something that would be the main driver of economical development of the region for the forthcoming years. Let's take all the resorts which are considered to be the best in the Russian Federation because of the quality of service. We see the dynamics of the touristic flow too. If we'll take an average number right now, we are among two regions due to touristic flow. The expenditures of tourists also grew, and they significantly, the significant part of them are among the transportation system. The head of Rostourism, Zarina Dogosova, mentioned Bashkortostan as a new destination for the summer. We are very proud for this, and for the last year, the priorities of tourists within the regional routes, the preferences mostly go to overland transport. That's why we need a systematic approach. Last time when we had a forum in Toronto, we were discussing this development. What is discussed among the hotel industry? Somewhere we need more parking places, somewhere we need a good area or maybe conditions for tourists, not just to get out from the station, you'll see the platform, but the tourist sometimes needs some staff rooms, centers, information centers where he could get information, also transport, public transport, just because we also need to reach other destinations within the city or a new place. That's the way how we should systematically work. And we need this consolidation of all the issues. Among other victories, what we have an agreement with Russian railroads about mutual cooperation, which were federally signed. We also had such routes as summer, both summer and winter. Maybe some of you have already tried. It's the Legend of Urals. For those who loves mountain skiing and helps to reach Abzakova, Mratkino, or the Lake Manne, and also the summer route to Aigir. We dedicate our work right now to the increase of the tourist flow. More than 29,000 people have already tried these routes. So we can say that it's quite popular right now. And in the nearest future, on the 4th of November, we will launch a new program of Russian Railways. It's a new route which is called Bright Holidays in Volga region, which has already started in August of 2021. Right now, it's a two-story train which will reach Ufa. And I hope that we, together with representatives from Samara, could show all the beautiful places of Bashkortostan, just because there would be a bulk a great bulk of people for sightseeing here. Of course, we will make a full program with abundance of new locations, great places, because Ufa is a beautiful city. It's a beautiful capital. And for the recent years, we had a great progress and made it flourishing. As I mentioned before, railway transportation has the main advantage, its safety, also sticking to the schedule, comfort and convenience for tourists. And of course, it's the price, because price also plays a great role. That's why I believe that our partnership with Russian railroads and also the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan Ministry of Tourism, we would target our flow, we'll target our energy in order to make the Republic the tourist capital and also reach bigger tourist flow. Let's see, what do we need any type of transport? Just because, each transport is chosen according to personal wants and needs. Any movement right now, even from one city to another, it's also a small journey. It is firstly needed to provide comfortable transportation and develop interregional ties, and for people to feel comfortable while moving around our big country. That's why I'd like to thank you for your work. And I believe and hope that we will create a great partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rustam. Colleagues, we are coming to the reports that we have in our agenda today. And before we start, I would like to point out a few moments. First of all, I would ask our experts to keep the timing. We have 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the report. So please, let's stick to that. And I would like to remind to our participants that after the report of each speaker, you are free to ask any questions. Please do some notes, because after the report you will be able to ask any question and get quite detailed answer or consultation. Please, let's do that and make our today's work, our today's meeting, more productive. And I believe that it's important to discuss, first of all, in which way should the railway passenger transportation should develop. Different passengers look for different expectations from one and the same trip, and our task is to pre-think, to guess their reaction. So I would like to give floor to the head of Kuibashevskaya local service for development of passenger traffic and access to infrastructure, Alexei Sitnikov. Please welcome. Please, slides. Good afternoon, dear participants of the session. So I would like to start with numbers, with figures, to show where we are right now, how the pandemic influenced and modern geopolitical situation influenced us. 2019, so these data comprises all the Russian railroad network. It was maximum in 10 years, 1.2 billion passengers, and how much it dropped in 2020 with the beginning of pandemics, and then it was growing in 2022, We haven't reached the level of 2019, but I do believe that we'll reach this point. Take into consideration which projects we're launching in suburban and intercity routes. Why I'm sure? Because the summer has shown that suburban campaign and long trips reached the level of 2019, and of course next year we will improve it and will hit the new historical maximum for Russian Railroad. So this is an indicator that corresponds to passengers multiplied by kilometer. So the situation is the same, but it was over the last 6 years, and we also, by the end of 2023, we will reach these indicators. For those who are interested, this information exists in handouts. So the left side is for long distance trips, and we also see the drop in pandemics and the increase after pandemic. So the pandemics really influenced the passenger transportation. If we speak about what means the mission of the state in the functioning of a railroad transportation system, is the creation of conditions to improve the quality of health and services of people, access to safe transportation services with the minimum impact on the environment and climate. And I believe this term corresponds for railroads in a maximum way because it's safe and it's according to schedule and it's eco-friendly, where we have electrical parts of roads. The development of Ufa Railroad Center, this project, I believe, it moved further, and between the Republic of Bashkortostan and Russian railroads, there is an agreement to cover and subsidize the expenses of Russian railroads. It means that within coming future, Russian railroads will prepare a package of necessary documents to get the subsidies from the Foundation of National Welfare. So the project is worth, as you can see on the slide, 4.5 million. So it's organization of fast movement, fast transportation. So it's planned to do this because the project is due to be implemented up to 27-28 year. The only thing that we still don't have in this project is the organization of correspondence with the airport, and I believe that this project sooner or later will enter into the development of Mobile City project because it's the most comfortable to implement multimodal transportation, and many cities can prove that. So I believe here we will have it as a prospect. If we speak about the other prospects, of course, it's the network of high-speed railroads. If such infrastructural projects as development of Ufa cluster require a lot of investments, and the construction of high-speed railroads, of course, demand a lot of finances. But we don't need to just judge these projects only from the point of view of finances, because it gives financial effect, ecological effect, and the institutes, the proper institutes, calculate all these numbers. And all the projects presented here and the timing, it's all our prospects of development and increase in the number of railroads. If we speak about the nearest time intervals, it's inter-regional routes. So here we have Ufa-Orenburg route. It's already implemented by the buses, but at the same time we have two variants of development of regional routes. It's organization of suburban transportation, and so the time from Ufa to Orenburg is around 6 hours. And we're still discussing, is it comfortable for a passenger to travel 6 hours sitting? But maybe because of the comfort of the seats, it can be. But if we speak about the project as Ufa-Kazan, so the time of travel is around 12 hours. So probably sitting in the car, in the wagon, is not the best option. So it can be a perfect route, so the so-called hotel on wheels. So it's a night train from Ufa to Kazan. As an example, I can give so here we have a phrase, necessity for subsidizing. So the transportation company doesn't see any possible incomes to get the money revenue. So a Swiss operator launched a correspondence between Stockholm and Hamburg, and during certain days it's subsidized from national company. And it can be a good example. Today we don't have the legislative basis so that the subjects can start subsidizing long-way trips, long-way routes. They can do it with suburban, but not with the long way. So this is probably a point where we cannot move further. And of course, it's very demanded. Interregional routes are demanded by passengers. They are all season. And I won't just enlist all the qualities of railroads. We will speak about it later today. I would also like to highlight that we have certain changes this year. The regulations of technical exploitation of railroads has been changed, and first time in history we have the definition of rolling stock. So it can be called historic rolling stock. There's a huge methodology behind that, what is necessary to do, which safety equipment should be installed, and many other things. But what I'm telling you is just today more and more retro operations or steamer tours becoming more and more popular. And I believe it will develop in the future, and we will be able to see not only retro steamers, but also retro electric steamers or diesel steamers on railroads. So it will be very interesting, and will be made in a very in the shape of a very comfortable package tour. A few words about retro operations. We have a fantastic example of Ruskialsky Express between Sartvala and Ruskiala, where we have all the infrastructure. I don't know whether it's launched or not in September. The Ural Express was about to be launched between Yekaterinburg and Verkhnyaya Pyshma, where we have different museum complex. And of course we have the starting point, and we have the anchor of attraction. We discussed a lot the possibilities of Inzera Aigir, but the infrastructure here is on the one, can be considered on the one hand only, because you can come to one point and bring passengers and not bring a big program for show. But on the other hand, it's a very beautiful place where people go for the weekend. But on the other side, there are no investors or some anchoring point where we can build these infrastructures as on the two above-mentioned examples. So if if somebody has some offers or suggestions where in Ufa we can find the anchoring point that will be probably built in the future, so we can consider this as a part of the steamer traffic in the Republic of Bashkortostan. Then briefly, I will say a few words, since we have representatives of other regions and companies. I would tell a few words about the project. Is the launch of retro steamer on the way from Samara to Taliati. So we have a lot of anchoring points here. It's the visiting of Grushin's platform, where we had the festival, and it looks like you can see on the right bottom corner. They're also planning to build the viewing point, and also the one of the anchoring point is Taliati itself, where we have a lot of points of interest, like a museum named after Sakharov and Museum of Avtovaz. And here we are lacking a bit of interaction between the subjects, because if we bring this route to the order of suburban routes, so the cost of rent of the steamer can be reduced, and it's not only the steamer and modern cars, but it can be branded cars. That's it. I'm ready to answer all the questions that you have. Thank you. So, colleagues, if anyone has got questions, I kindly ask you to ask them, to pose them. And if some of our colleagues that are online with us do have some comments or remarks, or they just wish to clear something up, so we're also ready to listen to you. And Alexei, I have a question. I do know that there are programs for subsidizing of aviation transportation. So the question is there a similar program for subsidizing railroad transportation? If we take example with aviation transportation, well, I understand subsidizing as a freight of planes by a tour operator for a certain number of flights. I don't know whether and how this program works. The railroad doesn't have this analogy. If the trip within a frame of a certain package tour provided by a tour operator, it's compensated to the tourists, but the tour operator, if he rents the rolling stock, it's not compensated in any way. And this is one of the most interesting topics as well, because we do have this so-called magic expresses where a tour operator, let's put it this way, comes and organizes these some kind of thematic routes. And if there are some benefits for freight of cars for long trips, that would be kind of a motivation for them. So we need to ask the government for such a program, right? So, my friends, I believe it's in our powers. So if you don't have any questions, we would like to thank Alexei Yurievich and reward him with our applauses. Thank you very much. And let's move on.
And I would like to tell that the development of the railroads cannot be visioned without the integration into economic cover of the region where it is settled. To broaden the railroads as one of the powerful strategies to develop the economy, just because we strengthen the ties with other spheres and also create new job opportunities. On the development of the systems of railroads, I would like to invite CEO of Bashkortostan Urban Passenger Company, Anton Garmash. Distinguished colleagues and friends, I'm so glad to see you all. I see a lot of familiar faces. We have met before several times, and we also have results which I would announce today. My name is Anton Garmash. I work for the Bashkortostan urban passenger company, one of the biggest in our republic. It is working within the 6 entities: the Republic of Bashkortostan, Mordovia, Penza, Ulyanovsk Oblast. It has each day at least 20,000 passengers per day. In accordance with the set strategy for the transportation development up to 2030, our company, together with the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan and Kuibashevskaya Railroad, implement a line of events on working with the railway opportunities. We work with the urban trains with steamers like Lastочка and Orlan. In 2021, we had the Southern Express of Ufa-Kumirtau-Orenburg, Western Express of Priutova, and also we had Lastочkas and Southern Route too. The company, with the help of the Kuibashevskaya Railroad and Ministry of Transport, put into operation the expresses within the framework of Ufa. Now we have 10 steamers. Here on the slide you can see that the citizens of Bashkortostan choose urban railroads. We see the growth for 18%. We plan to have more than 3 million among passengers, and we plan to reach the record from the moment of foundation and to reach the record for the past 12 years, just because the citizens of the Republic of Bashkortostan chose urban transportation systems. If we talk about the prospects of the company, we have worked and included into the state order. We have the tasks set by the head of the Republic of Bashkortostan, and since 11th of December, we would prolong the Southern Express, the second pair, and also Western Express with Lastочка, Ufa, Priutova. We also plan to broaden the geography on the route Ufa, Kandry to Imazi. We'll have Lastочка and also steamer. We understand that all the biggest cities of the Republic should be connected to each other, and Ufa should become the hub for Chelyabinsk region, Orenburg region, and also Samara. We could take all the passengers here to Ufa. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, the key moment is within the government of the Republic Bashkortostan. We have the next stage. It's Eastern Express project, Ufa, Beloretsk, Magnitogorsk. We already built up the route and ready for implementation of this project. We need a supply of 2 steamers Lastочка, and we are waiting for it right now. As I mentioned before, we work on the 6 entities of the Russian Federation, and I could not skip the territory of Penza region, and we made an update of the train fund there into Orlan's. We plan to add some new high-speed steamers, which will allow to take tourists from Penza with great comfort. At the same time, we're working with the renovation of the Ulyanovsk trains. So we plan to make a new net and transportation unit, which showed great success and will cover up the Republic of Bashkortostan, Penza region, and supply them with Orlan steamers. Right now we have more than 15 events. We have top projects like The Legend of Urals and Aigir. Each year, we cover the demand for 15%. The previous year, we had more than 29,000 passengers. This holiday, even if it's just the end of the September, we will reach the numbers higher than the previous year. The company is monitoring the demand, and also sometimes we add 3 more cars or even up to 6 cars, bringing people to Aigir. Of course, we have invoice to Mr. Sitnikov that when the city is very hot, when you need the time to relax, it's so nice to go to such clean places with fresh air and cold water. That's why we have a lot of tourists. That's why we need to develop this route. The company is also working out with children tours on multimodal having a multimodal. We have a great demand for it. All the tours are sold out, and we plan to show this route for more than 20,000 children. Thematical steamers, topical steamers are also popular. In August 2022, we were the main transfer company for the Festival of Hospitality, Kupets 2 and 0. We prepared the schedule for reaching the festival, so there were more than 800 passengers who went to this festival. And we also used the branding of the festival. We're inside Orlan. When you have a mass event and you want to start it on time, being safe and sound, of course, it is better to choose as a priority transport railroads, especially for children. The company has a lot of knowledge and also a lot of experience in transportation for cultural, sports events and other. So we are ready to provide, to transfer your guests for any type of event. During summer, you could see that there should be a train in Zar Aigir, and as for winter in Zar Beloretsk. The project was presented during Zauralia Forum and also Transport and Logistics Conference. Of course, touristic society was highly interested in this project and they plan to participate in it. Our country is very unique in its nature and wildlife, and also the unique tour products would be essential to develop our Republic of Bashkortostan and other entities which are involved into our net. So we could state that only 25 companies of urban transportation are operating in the territory of Russia. So we see the interest from not only passengers but also companies. We have the growth, and right now We take the second place after Kaliningrad region. We have a great potential. People use urban transportation, even for their leisure too. To sum up, I want to mention that one phrase. Everyone knows that leisure place, format of leisure, is mostly created by a woman. So we'll reach our goal when going back to sleep. You would tell, I want to go to Aygir on Lastechka. No Dubai, no Turkey. Thank you. Colleagues, right now we have time for questions. If you have any questions, please let me start. I would like to ask Anton one interesting thing. Let's imagine I'm a good leader. I have a lot of children, and a tour operator offers me to go by train. So what would be the advantage to use urban railroad transportation in comparison to just traditional public transport? Thank you for this question. It's quite an up-to-date and crucial question for us. I would like to give regards and talk about the needs about which occur during the transportation of children. Of course, the thing which we value most are our children. With all the elements of security systems, video and photo fixation, also supporting and surveillance of operators. Just because we have an operator in Samara which looks after the train, keeping up to schedule, just because everything is working for the security of this group of children. The second thing is, while we have a unique approach of all the entities, we have 50% discount for transportation. Yeah, as for summer, of course, we could say that that's okay, but as for winter, if you go to the federal highway, you need to cover up all the documents, and there is no confirmation that that would be safe. That's why I call for using our steamers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anton Viktorovich. So, friends, let me comment, because this topic is very close to me. We are Ministry of Entrepreneurship and Tourism, and we are implementing a very huge project, and Bashkortostan has become one of 18 regions that implement school tourism today. And what you've been talking today, it's a very right thing, because the program of school tourism has started on the 3rd of September. The period of its finish will be 31st of December, when we will have to transport 11,000 school children. And what you've been talking about, the winter, right now it's all with the bus. Do we have tour operators here? So I suggest it's a very important topic. Plus, school children get 50% discount. Then we are talking that we have distant, remote locations such as Trans-Urals, and today you have plans for suburban route like Sibay-Magnitogorsk to Ufa. You can speed it up. So you understand, right? Are there any serious limitations in comparison with auto transportation? We cannot transport children at night, only during the day, so it's 2. And here you get a significant advantage, and I would suggest and to tour operators as well to consider remote locations, including the winter period, because it's to travel with the railroads, because safety is important. Yes, it's important. Schedule is important. So it can be structured. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rustem Karimович, for your comments. Do you have questions?
Да, конечно, можно. Вам сейчас дадут микрофон.
You will be given microphone. Thank you.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Екатерина Кириллова, я из Стерлитамака.
Hello, I'm Екатерина Kirillova from Stерлитамак, tour operator Bashgate.
Огромное вам спасибо за поддержку.
So first of all, thank you very much for the support of Festival of Hospitality Kupets Merchant. It was very easy. A lot of ideas from your employees. It was very comfortable and handy. Together with that, I would like to say a few words about, yes, it is impossible during school transportations. Railroads are more safe and more economically reasonable. But when we speak about adult transportation, it's not always the competitive pricing. For example, from Ufa to Stерлитамак, a group of 20 people would spend 16,000 rubles, and on bus it will be 10 to 12,000 rubles. If there are any possibilities to make a competitive price with bus transportation for local routes. Thank you. Thank you very much as well, because it was very demanding, constructive. Yeah, we worked the same way on the high level. What concerns the price, of course, the suburban transportation is aimed at supporting social functions. Not everyone can afford going by bus, like a pensioner, a school child, or a student. We have around 70% of different special categories. Around 6,000 passengers belong to this category, and around 5,000 those who pay in any way full price. In any way, the price is set by the regulator of the Republic of Bashkortostan, and I would like to highlight that one of the most democratic tariffs for suburban trains. If you compare with other subjects, it's higher. The second thing I would like to highlight, that, look, you named the figure of 16,000 rubles for electric train for group of 100 people, right? Or how many? 40 people. Or a bus. 20 people. 600 by 20 would be 12,000. Okay, 800. Okay, 8,000 rubles. Divide this 8,000. Of course, you look as from the side of business, and it's okay, it's normal, because we're in a market economy to get the maximum profit. But there are cases when the chase, in this chase for this margin, people lose the most important thing, the life and health. So we are all here in this information field. We see all these tragic events that happened 4 years ago in Tyumen, when organized group of children got into car accident. Here in Republic of Bashkortostan, we also see these car accidents. Again, when you use suburban railroads, you get safety, you get insurance, additional services. Can the bus provide this? What kind of bus is it? So anyway, when you use railroad transportation, you are in the maximum safety. So answering your question, the price is regulated, but this price includes maximum safety elements, stability and comfort in comparison with bus transportation. Plus, we offer synchronization, because the whole thing goes around multimodality. And together with our colleagues from Penza, we proved that for long trips there should be big capacity transportation. And in this case, it will be very comfortable. They will be not crowded in anchor points. So please consider this scheme, because it's recommended to be positive. Thank you very much for your interesting answer. Thank you for interesting questions. Let's move on. Dear friends, I addressed the history, and let's remember that railroads, where they appeared, they were bringing progress and development. And of course, as it is not possible with the help of one person to organize the work of railroad, so it's impossible to build the successful touristic destinations alone. So synergy, experience with colleagues is the key to the success of New Horizons. On how to combine efforts and get success, that's the topic of Inna Gavrilova, Deputy Head of Kuibashevskaya Office of Federal Passenger Company. Please welcome.
На кнопочку, пожалуйста. Там кнопочка большая такая. Красным загорится.
Press the button, please. Thank you.
Здравствуйте, уважаемые коллеги.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to thank Republic of Bashkortostan for the invitation, and of course, beloved Kuibashev Railroad. And I would like to present you my reports. I will present briefly that we represent Federal Passenger Company, Kuibashev subsidiary, Kuibashev branch, that deals with long-distance correspondence. And we have listened to the suburban transportation, but we are in charge of traveling between regions and cities, so it's trains that go around the whole country, even double-decked. Our Kuibashev branch is dealing with touristic projects for a long time and very successfully. On the screen you can see just a number of successful projects, and we have capacity of more than 50,000 people in transportation. The most famous our project is in the field of children. Tourism is the project named Car or Wagon of Knowledge. It was considered to be the best social economic practice for development of children's tourism. This project has a lot in common with what has been said by the previous speaker, is when we take the lessons out of the school building. The concept was that kids in school at the desks learn different subjects, but it's much easier and better to digest this material when they will be on the spot, learn the traditions of different regions, their ecology, not only their home region, but also neighboring regions. Because when patriotism was announced to be a national idea, we do understand that in order to love our motherland, we need to know our motherland. And additionally, I cannot thank the Penza region that was the first to adopt and approve this project. And they also introduced the hashtag anti-gadget, because we know it's the real disaster, and the traveling and the format to look at our motherland from the window of the train. Of course, it impresses children. The next successful project is called Bright Weekend in Volga region, that comprised all Volga regions. It's a project not for school children, but for organized groups of tourists in the regions that it is working. It's all presented here. We moved out of Volga region by adding Volgograd and Astrakhan region, and take into consideration the train that Rinat Zufarovich was speaking about. This train will come to Ufa and to the capital of Urals, Yekaterinburg. So this project geographically is so spread so that we would present it as Bright Weekend on the Ural. Why these projects are very good? Mostly this is weekend tours or tours for holidays and turnkey tours that represent a complex approach so that the autumn evenings and weekends, when most of you spend it with families in different malls or cinemas, and we offer another format to spend it in the trip to neighboring regions, so that Friday evening the whole family boards on the train, on a very comfortable train, and goes traveling. Saturday you spend in the neighboring region with the organized program, with catering, with visiting different sites. I will say a few words about entrepreneurship here, and on Sunday you can come back home and have enough time to do some home chores, or maybe even to make a post in social media. And our train represents a hotel on wheels that is comfortable and safe in all weather conditions. Will bring you to the destination, and our tourists, after this full of emotions weekend spent in neighboring region, come back and they wait there for their comfortable wagons to go home. The principle of this project of Bright Weekend in Volga region, they correspond to sustainable tourism principles and sustainable economic development principles. I would like to stop on a few principles. We work in close cooperation with regions, and we believe that each region, when they prepare this program of accepting tourists, they need to meet the social cultural principle. Of course, we go for emotions, for culture, and if your region, as Bashkortostan, has got a national peculiarity, then it should be presented in full scale, both in the cuisine of the region, in souvenir museums. And we visited today the National Museum of the Republic of Bashkortostan, and we were really impressed. And I'm really sure that our travelers would appreciate it. So we need to get the very literal approach, so that to present the citizens of other regions, to present them the differences. So if you bring tourists from Samara to Saratov and show them Volga, for example, that would be interesting, but not really interesting, because there is Volga River in Samara as well. We need to work on differences, on some peculiarities. And of course, eco principle is the major one, and our means of transportation is the most eco-friendly. And economic principle is, of course, very important. As for the beginning of this year, this project accumulated a total income of 105 million rubles. It's when we brought more than 5,000 tourists. So how we made this sum of money? Of course, this is the price of the tour that comprises railroad and touristic aspects, plus the sum of money tourists spend in the region. And dear representative of tour industry and government officials, Please pay attention. Tourists buy this weekend tour and spend money purchasing different souvenir products or gastronomic products with the price of acceptance in the region and even more. It's very important how prepared you will be to the possibility of the tourist within the framework of one day trip to purchase these souvenir products. Those regions who integrate correctly the fare of souvenir products or souvenir shops, and it must be not with the one shop assistant. It must be fast purchase opportunity, fast package opportunity, because touristic train is more than 300 tourists. So can you imagine the contribution to economy of the region? The average tourist spends around 3,000 to 5,000 in the region. So it's very important. So this is a complex product. When we considered our project through the sustainable tourism principles, we divided our projects into several aspects. And when we make this trip, we see a lot of things. We see people who work in this industry, in railroad industries. We see the touristic operators, people who work on the railroad, but at the same time we try to make the chain of human resources to make one touristic train, and we came to the conclusion that this chain of people, from 110 to 130 people in one block, in one touristic train, and of course it's all affects the economy. This year we have a record number of touristic trains, different touristic trains, and we are very happy and very proud that our company managed to bring first touristic trains to Astrakhan this summer, and more than 500 tourists over the months visited this resort. We are very happy that we were the first to visit Orenburg region as a subject of railroad industry, that we brought touristic train to Orenburg region, and we would be very happy to bring touristic train to Republic of Bashkortostan. So what we are planning to do for November holidays for Samara citizens, because when we send the train and the place of touristic flow is the city like Samara, very often tourists from neighboring regions, from Ulyanovsk, Penza, Orenburg, thanks to very comfortable railroad and road logistics, come to Samara region in order to start the trip. That's another point for that the railroad tourism in the region can contribute to the development of movement between regions. So we decided to send double-deck touristic train that would open this project, bright weekend on the Ural, on Samara via Yekaterinburg. So we start on the 3rd of November from Samara in the evening. On the 4th of November, the capital of Bashkortostan, Ufa, meets us, and we believe that over this time the tourists will have possibility to see all the bright things and the most beautiful things. So, dear colleagues from the Republic of Bashkortostan, I listened to Anton Viktorovich very attentively, and I always admire with the success of Bashkir Suburban Company and to connect different regions of the Republic of Bashkortostan. What I would like to say, it's very important to form possibility to understand that it's not enough to come to Bashkortostan just for one day. It's very important that the work of touristic information centers work, because the welcome packages, all the booklets, brochures, information handouts, event calendars that you would give to the tourists, the speeches of guides about the beauties and sights that are necessary to visit in the Republic of Bashkortostan, they would guarantee the return of the tourist. The right acceptance of touristic train is a matter of paramount importance in terms of contribution to the economy of the region. And I am sure that our travelers would take the decision to come back to the Republic, not in the format of one-day tour, come back for 1 week, for 1 month. It can be any kind of tourism, ecotourism or any other kind. So it's very important for them. Well, girls do understand it, how to go out, how to finish the supper a little bit hungry. So the woman forms the touristic product, because our opinion poll shows that around 60% of our travelers are women. It's 45 plus.
From Samara. On the 2nd of January, we plan to go to Moscow and see the New Year capital. After that, on the evening, we plan to go to Karelia. On the route back, we would like to open Ryazan region. Most of that regions, if they will hear about the fact that we plan to involve them, they would be very happy. Today, we discussed to try launch a double-deck train for the Republic of Bashkortostan, just because I know that tourists from this place would be happy to see Karelia and also to see Moscow at the New Year. And of course, they would be fascinated with the potential of the Ryazan region. Thank you very much. Let's grant our speaker with the applause, just because we have quite wide opportunities for our tourists. So when we are talking about railway tourism, the first associations are connected with the long-term trains and routes. But we should not forget about the perspective a unit like suburban railway transportation. Why not to visit some remote places of your republic just because suburban train would bring you all the emotions and will take you to that place for quite a cheap price. And I'd like you to listen to the next speaker who will join us online. Dear friends, let me introduce the Deputy CEO of Samara Passenger Company, Dmitry Daletsky. Good afternoon, dear guests and participants. Samara region. Could you please open the second slide right now? Can you please open the second slide? Can you hear me? Yes, Dmitry, we hear you, and we could also see the presentation on our screen. So Samara region, due to its geography, has a high touristic potential, and also they have a lot of natural and also architectural heritage places. It is quite affordable from the point of view of transport. That's why we have quite a big touristic flow. And we are open for the guests not only from other places but also of Samara region. As we learned for the last year, the fact that we have a lot of railways, especially suburban railways, allows us to cover up a big bulk of tourists. As you can see, we plan to attract more than 31,000 passengers each year. It would be the biggest number for the last several years. What would help us to attract is the systematized approach. Just because we work for perspective, first of all, we study the market of tourist industry. We also work with tour operators and organizers of touristic groups. We have a lot of groups right now within Samara and Samara region, starting with car tours, also going on foot. They have a starting and finishing point at the suburban railroads. The second thing is to have marketing events. That's why we also created a free of charge transportation of bicycles since 2022. We also provided supplementary services for additional payment. You could book the tickets beforehand. We could also help to orient to find all the things in place. The third sphere is to react promptly for new stops in new places. This year we made an additional stop for Lastочка, just because during the festival you could also see MetaFest and Children Grushinsky Festival with the support of the government of Samara. They were included in two stops were included into the route, which gave an influx of 2,000 passengers. Of course, we also had some casualties while preparation of the touristic trains, just because touristic groups and touristic societies cannot understand that the train has a schedule. That's why it takes off without any delays. But this year, all the testing was covered perfectly. We have different formats. You could see on the slide here. We have school tours for one day with two bureaus. We also have immersion shows. We have trains for touristic groups and also for teams when they book beforehand. the last project for the fourth quarter, what we had, we plan to make railway transport more affordable for school children. That's why we plan to attract more than 8,000 passengers. During our further work, we plan to get the progress while adding new trains. In our region, for more than 1 year, we have a new train set, Lastochka. The citizens of the region are highly impressed by this type of trains. More than 70% of Lastochka are newcomers who haven't used the suburban transportation before. Mostly we transport tourists, labor migrants to Izhevsk, Tольятти, Sызrань, Zhigulevsk. Right from the start, Lastochka created a great impression, just because for those who know the distance between Samara, Zhigulevsk and Sызrань, we had reduced it for a half. On the 1st of September of 2022, it is planned Lastochka to include into the routes Samara-Zhigulevsk, Samara-Sызrань, just because we attract tourists for one-day trips. Since October 2022, we announced the launch of Lastochka to Tольятти, a new city, where the population is more than 16,000 people. We also plan several events on the territory of Tольятти to attract guests to the autocrat. We also plan to work on service. We added facilities such as Wi-Fi, which is highly assessed by people. We also have some interactive cards and additional navigation programs. We also added such facilities as selling the tickets 10 days before, and also to create an outdoor guide. The next slide, please. Thank you. In fact, we have different factors with influence on the tourism of Samara region. There are a lot of advantages and positive factors. We have a lot of events. We have comfortable locations, both natural and historical, and also we have an active touristic society supported by the Ministry of Tourism and Ministry of Transport. We have an up-to-date train group, and also we have a broad net of routes. And also we cover up the biggest amount of our population of Samara, Tольятти, Sызrань, and so on. We have made a lot for the last year, and we actively involved into tourism, maybe for the year and a half. And right now we have a working group which are working on development of the new touristic products. We also have partner work on elimination of some casualties in infrastructures. We also work with municipal authorities and municipal institutions and cooperate with them. We also cooperate with touristic companies, and we create the one-day routes. We have a big presentation to attract the interest of education workers. As my colleagues said before, we have some specification programs. They could visit the manufacturing processes or some historical places or even geographical locations. We also conduct job on monitoring of social nets and creation of the route system of touristic groups with the use of suburban trains. We monitor all of the routes which we have and to pay attention to each group of people. We pay attention to all the videos and to use all social nets to announce our events. We talk with tour guides and pay a lot of attention to the analytical work on the places of interest in Samara region. As for current job, we work also with museum and exhibition complexes, for instance, discounts for different museums and galleries. So you buy a ticket to Lastochka, and after that you'll have a discount to Samara Philharmonic House or a museum. We are now trying to come to the agreement with the authorities of Samara. The next slide, please. That is the way how we visually see our location map and our profile of touristic products. As I mentioned before, it's festivals, events, the weekend tours, active leisure locations like subboards. It's very popular right now and quite widespread on the territory of Samara and Samara region, not only in Samara but also within the small rivers, also excursions with audio guide and animation guide, which was successfully used the previous year. We also use thematic trains, and we work on them, they develop them. Previously, it was quite actively used by the tourists, mostly mushroom trains, Snezhinka, or for fishing.
And today it's the rolling stock, passenger rolling stock. And I would like to say a few words about the creation of new line for urban and suburban transportation. First of all, a few words about the rolling stock that we produce today, that is still in utilization today. So it's around 200 trains in 5-car, 7-car and 10-car edition. We have more than 1,200 cars produced over the last 10 years. A lot of words have been said about this train. The advantages of this train is the acceleration that is optimal for suburban communication, but it also can be used in urban communication. The class of comfortability is standard, so we have 2 seats, 2 plus 3 seats. So it's very useful for suburban communication, and this train can be used by adding other cars to increase the train for communication where there is increase of passenger turnover, or we know in advance that 5 cars are not enough. Also, one of the electric trains is the premium train, dual system, AC trains, where with a higher level of comfort. We have kitchen, we have recreation zone, and we have WCs. So these wagons, these cars can be more comfortable and more interesting for suburban and regional communications, up to 500 kilometers. Today, we, together with engineers, developing bistro cars. They're non-motorized, but they can be added to trains. That is working on the line today. These wagons equipped with coffee machines, vending machines, fridges with beverages, and these cars can give additional 48 passenger seats. Then I would like to say a few words about a new platform. We are engaged in building new platform for Lastochka trains and Vostok trains, where we plan to make both trains of urban and suburban communication on the same platform. So there will be from 3 to 12 cars in the train, and autonomous mileage of the train can be up to 125 kilometers. So the Vostok line shows 4 stages. Today we are on the first stage, where we are developing traction system with it. We have traction motor, tractive transformator. This train, we are planning to build this train in the beginning of next year and to certify it by the end of next year. The next stage, we are planning to verify the acceleration or high acceleration, and this train will be interesting for huge agglomerations where there's closed circles like Moscow Circle, for example, or with where the distance between the stations is very short, and high acceleration can give high speed between these landmarks. The third stage is dual system of electric train on the same platform, and the fourth is a hybrid with a battery. Is a hybrid train with a battery that would give opportunity to travel up to 125 kilometers. So we also are aiming at upgrading the exterior and interior as well. So we're planning to upgrade the mast that is here. New line in 5-car train would comprise up to 1,400 passengers, depending on the edition. So if we speak about the urban, so it's the desire to get more standing places for passengers. If it's suburban, more sitting places for passengers. The next project we're working together with Russian railroads and with the Moscow government, it's double-decked electric train for urban communication that is aimed at utilization at Moscow Central Circle. So all the cars will have 2 decks, and the number of doors will be 3 on one side. So working actively on design, and today we're working on technical task together with Russian railroad. Side that will increase and the speed of feeling of train on the stops. For this, we are planning to use wide doors, the width of which will be 1.4 meters. Besides the obvious functions for increase of passenger turnover and decreasing the time en route, we are planning to fulfill all the wishes of the customer and the client and the passenger as well. So there are more places for bicycles and the possibility to charge them during the travel time. One of the projects that we see as a prospect on the basis of double-deck train, we see the creation of regional trains and interregional trains that can travel up to 500 kilometers and even more, up to 1,000 kilometers if we take into consideration the time of travel can be from 10 to 12 hours. So it's night trains where you can sit at night in the evening, and in the morning you can get to your final destination. And besides the increase of the comfortability of the seats, it would be possible to travel in this train. Here we also see the possibility of creation of wagons with 2 and 4 seats compartments, and this is a very interesting way that can attract to attract lonely tourists who like to travel alone, and also people who go on business trip that choose electric train instead of the plane, because the distances, for example, to Yekaterinburg, it's 1,000 kilometers, and it's not really comfortable to fly. It's more effective to use railroads to Ufa, for example, or from Ufa to Yekaterinburg during night, and have a good night's sleep and be fresh in the morning in Ufa or in Yekaterinburg. One-seat coupe or for one person has been developed. Here we plan to implement all the information systems. We seriously worked on design together with Russian railroads and together with passengers. We checked different location and connection of different gadgets, the mobile phones, connection with the conductor, and so on and so on. We can offer a lot to the passenger, but the project is still being developed, designed, so we are open to work under equipment of this compartment. Double compartment can comprise a family of 2 or 3 people. Like, let's say, a family of 2 adults and 1 child up to 7 years. We're planning to construct the push-out bed that would be a bit lower than the level of the parents, where a child can be placed so that you can travel with the family or just go from A point to B point. 4 or 5 person compartment is also designed for big companies or for big families, where you can accommodate 4 or 5 people. And I would like to finish my presentation with this slide, where Ufa is one of the centers of economic growth, and the anchoring point of Ufa comprises many cities, and we think that provision of communication will increase the mobility of citizens and attraction of the region, and would create conditions for business growth in the region. And besides, if you draw the line of 1,000 kilometers, you can see Yekaterinburg and Ulyanovsk and Samara and Volgograd, and this comprises not only, can be considered not only as a anchoring point, but also huge centers of economic growth. So our trains, the line of trains that I was speaking about, can create favorable soil for transportation development and development of the region itself. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Grigory. Thank you very much. I would like to ask the question. I have a curious question about the double-deck train. What work is implemented? Do you have a pilot, this compartment, and also the systems, how they operate? With great pleasure. Thank you very much, Grigory. We're very thankful for quite an interesting presentation. Could you please grant our speaker with applause? And on behalf of transporting systems and companies, I would like to thank the Euro companies, just because the passengers of our region find Lastочка quite comfortable and reliable. Not long ago, we have granted the 101,000 passenger. And I would like to mention that even air companies also use trains. Yes, we also talked about the fact that we need a hub. We should form from the far corners, remote corners, new train vehicles. We know that it has a double system. for Lastочка. And if we are talking about the Ufa-Magnitogorsk-Sibay hybrid train, Lastочка would be the most effective from the point of view of transporting company and also Ministry of Transport. With the help of Mintransport, the company and the transfer companies are interested in this project and they are ready to cooperate in order to implement it if the government of Bashkortostan would support it. So such wagons, bistro wagons, would appear in the Republic of Bashkortostan. Furthermore, the second International Forum of Transport and Construction, I think during this second forum we need to launch such trains. So dear colleagues, let's go further. I also would like to mention that the experience which we gained in regions, considering the touristic transfer, we are quite grateful for the fact that regions are ready to share their experience and to teach other regions in order to create new and interesting projects. I also would like to present one more online speaker. It's the director for tourism agency in Ulyanovsk region, Denis Alyin. So dear friends, let's wait him online. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, dear participants of the International Congress on Transport and Construction. Could you please open up my presentation? No doubt, the railway tourism is one of the perspective points and fields of Russia, and also within the implementation of the tourist flow and attraction of tourist flow to our regions. Could you please open the third slide? Could you open the third one? Our region. Now we see the presentation. Our region takes part in the events on development of the railway tourism. Since the previous year, we also implement the project Bright Weekends. We joined this project. We were one of the first people who, one of the first companies who joined it. We also know that this project exists due to the regional tour operators and also Russian railways and many other participants of this project, which helps to create a new, unique tourist product, which includes active leisure on the territory of our region and other regions too, of the federal district. The project is implemented with support of Russian railways too, and also the government of the Volga region, companies, and organized as in committee of the route of the year. We also have exclusive programs in Samara, Ijevsk, Penza, Yoshkar-Ola, Ulyanovsk, Saransk, and other cities. There are interesting excursions and different events, and also health and wellness events included into this tour. They would also visit key places like the House of Lenin, the Field Aviation Museum, and also other objects. As the operators, you could see the Autonomous Economic Organization in Sibir City, also Zapovednik named after Lenin, and also branch of our PK. Within the framework of working with, of our delegation, this year we have an agreement with the system of Russian railways too, in order to sell the pack tours for October and November for our region. In order to develop the project mentioned, we also use double-deck wagons, which have a route from Moscow to Ulyanovsk. It's our brand name wagon. We placed the information about the sites of our region, where you could use some links or QR codes and vote for the best sightseeing which attracted you most. So in real time, you could see which destinations right now became leading and choose these destinations for your tour. Of course, this idea was implemented with the help of Rina Vladimirovna, the deputy head of the company. Right now, we implement this idea with her support. We also plan to brand the rest of the wagons till the next year. Could you please show the next slide? Another project which we implement in order to develop the railway tourism is held together with Bashkortostan company. We plan to launch a new train set, RA3 Orlan, which has the route in Ulyanovsk-Inza or Ulyanovsk-Dimitrovgrad. They would have stands with sites from Ulyanovsk region, and we hope that starting on the 30th of September, it will become quite popular. Right now, we have a demand to regulate the schedule of our tours. We are actively communicating with our tour operators who plan to go from Ulyanovsk to Dimitrovgrad or vice versa. That's why they think that we need to have a stop and also make a full excursion program included into the tour. We plan to present it the next week with our tour operators. I will show it to our colleagues from the transportation companies. The next slide. Another project which is implemented within the cooperation of the region with the company of Russian railroads. We need to note the realization of the projects on the territory of Ulyanovsk region. We have 2 days tour, Господа Пионеры, on double-deck train. There would be transfer to and fro, and also excursion program on tourist sites of Ulyanovsk. The next slide. I also touch upon the acting program of the railway cruises for children. Could you please show the next slide? Yeah, here. Together with Kuibashevskaya branch within the project, interregional project Knowledge Wagon. We have 2 tours, 2 days tours, like following the footprints of dinosaurs, and let's place all the points above I. Also, we form a complex of destinations like Ulyanovsk, Inza, Ulyanovsk, Dimitrovgrad. We build up the routes. So this question is quite up to date and crucial, just because we plan to show the key sites of these places like Yurlova and Kurlan Park, which would be interested to our visitors. Another field is the development of cooperation with Russian railways in the sphere of tourism, and which was successfully implemented is using of railway objects as the way to launch new tour products. We plan to have a program which is called From Wagon to Station, or the house where wagons live. The following program would provide the information about the working of train stations and also Kuibashevskaya Railway, about the jobs connected to railways, and also to learn about the old railway station of Ulyanovsk. How do we prepare wagons? They could also visit manufacturing sites where the wagons are repaired. I was on such excursion, one of the first excursions, and I saw how children and grown-ups are interested in this program. They still cannot understand why people should knock, beat the lighters of trains, how to find any casualties, if there are any problems which should be solved within the wagon. So it's quite a wide program which will cover up big amount of tourists, and that's why it's quite popular in our region. That's a small report which we have about the implementation of the projects which we have already put into operation. We also plan a lot of new events which we plan to launch together with the Russian railways, so I'm convinced that railway cruises have bright future, and we could implement them, and we could implement a lot of different events within the railroads. Thank you very much, Denis. This applause are for you. If you have any questions, dear participants, you could ask the questions right now, or you could contact Ulyanovsk and you'll get the answer. Thank you very much, Denis. Now we have no questions. Maybe if they occur, people will contact you. And we're going further, dear participants. We've worked with Ulyanovsk, we've listened to Ulyanovsk, but we still have nice projects in Penza region. And I would like to introduce the Minister of Culture and Tourism of Penza region, Sergei Bычkov.
Let's greet him. Good evening, dear colleagues. First of all, let me thank the organizers that the Penza region can take part in this Congress. For us, it's a big honor, and I believe that the information that we have on the experience of work in touristic infrastructure line, together with Russian railroads, would be very useful for other regions. And I believe that the experience that has been shared with our colleagues today we'll be able to use. In Penza region, together with Russian railroads, several projects have been implemented, as was partially mentioned by Inna Vladimirovna in her speech, this wagon of knowledge. This project that exists for school children and successfully implemented and functioning in Penza region, and it's aimed so that school children of Penza, Tatarstan, Bashkortostan and Samara region can study more about the history and culture of other regions. So the main idea is to organize inter-regional knowledge trips. This project has been working since 2012. We started this job with cooperating with our neighbors in Samara and together with Russian railroads. Over this period, more than 10,000 school children from Penza and Samara have been able to visit these cities. In 2016, school children from Moscow and Moscow region who find Saransk joined this program. Over the years of implementation of this project, more than 5,000 school children visited from Penza to Samara and vice versa. In 2022, for Samara school children, there's a new route, Penza-Tarkhanuak. On 14th and 16th of October, this tour must start, and it includes the visiting one of the most famous touristic attractions of our regions. It's Museum of Tarkhan, the motherland of our prominent Russian poet Mikhail Yurievich Lermontov. Plus, it comprises the excursion around Penza and the visiting of Museum of Mineral Water Plant Kuvaka, where we have the Living Water Museum or Aquavita Museum, and we can see how it was produced at the beginning of the 20th century, and we can have a look at the modern production. At the end of October, the wagon of knowledge would go to Lermontov places that would be dedicated only to visiting Tarkhane Museum, because because the program in Tarkhane is very full and dense, so there is sense getting only to Tarkhane. So here you can visit the tomb of Lermontov and Memorial House, where he spent his childhood, and the only functioning windmill in our region that can produce flour and cook some tasties. So this tour is operated by companies Berkut and Cruise, and they're planning to bring more than 250 school children from Samara. Besides, from another neighboring regions, from Saratov, there is electric train once a month, where L'Oreal Tour organizes tour for school children, visiting Penza Zoo and the only painting gallery that we have in Penza. Besides this project, we also implement the project called Bright Weekend in 2021. For the first time from Penza region, we sent the train to Kazan, where the school children and adults were able to visit Kazan, and when the first route was launched, a huge ceremony of launch was organized in Penza, and I can say that a lot of passengers that were traveling with other routes, when they saw this active program, also showed their desire to participate in this trip, but in another time. In 2022, together with RZD Tour company, we organized a tour, Russia Day in Lermontov premises. This tour took place from 10th to 12th June, and the program comprised excursion around Penza, including visiting the show in Mir Holt House. And on the second day, tourists visited suburban excursions, including Tarkhane. From 2022, the thematic tour Arlan Tarkhane was also launched, and it's very popular among our touristic operators, because there is a lack of buses and rolling stock and our tour operators actively use Russian railroad services, so that to bring tourists from the nearest station to station Belinskaya, and then on a smaller route with buses bring tourists to Museum Reservation Tarkhane. Upon arrival back at the Belinskaya station, tourists have a chance to visit Railroad Museum, that is on the railroad station. And today, the train operates on this format on a daily or regular basis, and L'Oreal Tour sends one car of tourists, it's around 72 people, on this route. If we speak about prospects of development of railroad tourism in our region, I would like to highlight that starting with this year, Penza region implements 2 investment projects together with Corporation of Tourism RF. It's the development of Klinova Rоща resort and Zoldaryovsky resort, a touristic clusters that is located in the biggest archaeological monument of our region. It's the medieval remains of the city that existed in 13th, 14th century. And close to this cluster, we have a railroad station. And we're planning that when we create the master plan of this territory, we will take into consideration the location of the railroad station, and it would be possible to bring the tourists to the station and to the hotels that would be located in the area. And if we speak about the development of the second project, the Park Hotel is located close to the station in Penza region, and here we have the direct possibility to bring tourists by the railroad. So Penza region is very interested in the development of this direction, and I believe that in the nearest future we will sign the agreement on cooperation and give our tourists to use quality and safe way of communication between the regions and inside the Penza region. Thank you very much, Sergei. We're very thankful for your report. And dear friends, if you have any questions, you can address them directly to Sergei Vyacheslamovich Bычkov. And I would like to sum up the results of our today's event. We worked very productively, we communicated very productively, and we strengthened the connections between our regions. Please remember that the best projects are born only in cooperation, and don't forget that inspiration and love to your work are the steamers that move us to the creation of something really new. So please don't forget that there will be possibility to communicate with our speakers and to ask them questions in written form after we finish our event today. So please, once again, thank you everyone for participation. Thanks to our experts, and thanks everyone who was with us online and those who joined offline. That's it, colleagues. Thank you very much. See you later.